February 12th, 2026, 9:14 local time. The Strait of Hormuz. Two American ships are under attack simultaneously. The USS Laboon, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, is taking fire from Iranian fast attack boats near the western entrance to the strait. The USS San Jacinto, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, is engaging anti-ship missiles launched from the Iranian coast 40 nautical miles to the northeast. For the first time since the spring escalation began, Iran is hitting multiple targets at once. Coordinated, deliberate, a tactical evolution that caught American planners off guard. I'm your host at U.S. Defense Review, where we break down the most critical military operations of our time. What happened, but the cost would be measured in American blood. Let's establish what we know about the Iranian planning. According to intelligence assessments compiled after the engagement, Iran had spent 3 months preparing for this attack. They called it Operation Martyr's Vengeance, a response to the accumulated American strikes that had destroyed missile batteries, naval bases, and military infrastructure throughout the summer. The plan was sophisticated. Phase 1. Distraction. A swarm of fast attack boats would engage an American warship near the strait's western approach. The engagement would be visible, loud, and attention-grabbing. Phase 2. The main strike. While American forces focused on the fast attack boats, shore-based missile batteries would launch against a second American ship positioned further east. The target would be caught with divided attention. Phase 3. Exploitation. If both attacks succeeded, additional assets would engage: submarines, drones, more missiles. The goal wasn't to win a naval war. It was to inflict maximum casualties in minimum time. The plan worked, partially. At 9:11, the USS Laboon detected 7 Iranian fast attack boats accelerating toward her position from the north. The boats were PACAP class, 45 tons, 50 knots maximum speed, armed with rocket launchers and machine guns. The Laboon's captain, Commander Michael Torres, recognized the threat pattern immediately. He'd studied previous engagements. He knew the Iranians used swarm tactics to overwhelm defenders. He ordered general quarters and began evasive maneuvers. His 5-inch gun trained on the lead boat. His phalanx CIWS activated. At 9:13, the first Iranian boat fired rockets. The engagement was on. What Commander Torres didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that the swarm attack was a diversion. The real threat was still 40 nautical miles away, preparing to launch. At 9:14, 2 Nor anti-ship missiles lifted off from a concealed position near Bandar Abbas. Their target, the USS San Jacinto. The San Jacinto was operating at the strait's eastern end, providing air defense coverage for a convoy of commercial tankers. Her crew was monitoring the Laboon's engagement, but wasn't expecting to become a target themselves. The Nors flew low and fast. Sea skimming profile. Mach 0.9 terminal velocity. Time to target, approximately 140 seconds. The San Jacinto detected the missiles at 9:14:47. Her AN/S PY-1B radar, more powerful than the destroyer's SPY-1D, picked up the contacts at 35 nautical miles. Captain Jennifer Walsh had 130 seconds to respond. She faced an immediate dilemma. The San Jacinto was 40 miles from the Laboon. Both ships were under attack. Standard doctrine called for mutual support, ships defending each other against threats. But 40 miles was too far for mutual support against sea-skimming missiles. Each ship would have to fight alone. At 9:14:52, Captain Walsh authorized weapons release. 2 SM-2 Block 4 missiles launched from the San Jacinto's forward VLS cells. At the same moment, 40 miles away, the Laboon was fighting for her life. The Iranian fast attack boats had closed to 6,000 meters. Their rockets were inaccurate, but numerous, dozens of 107mm projectiles filling the air around the destroyer. The Laboon's 5-inch gun fired continuously. 20 rounds per minute. The first Iranian boat took 3 direct hits and exploded. The second boat took 2 hits and began sinking. But 5 boats remained, and they were spreading out, trying to approach from multiple angles simultaneously. The phalanx engaged incoming rockets. The 20mm rounds created a wall of steel between the ship and the projectiles. Most rockets were destroyed or deflected. Most, not all. At 9:15:23, a 107mm rocket struck the Laboon's aft superstructure. The warhead was small, 8 kilograms of explosive, but it penetrated the hull and detonated in a berthing compartment. 3 sailors were sleeping after the overnight watch. None survived. Petty Officer Second Class Maria Santos, Seaman James Wilson, Seaman Apprentice David Chen. Dead before they knew they were under attack. The Laboon was wounded, but still fighting. Her 5-inch gun destroyed a third Iranian boat. Her small arms crews, sailors with .50 caliber machine guns on the weather decks, engaged a fourth boat that had closed to 800 meters. The small arms fire was desperate, but effective. The Iranian boat's crew was killed or wounded. The boat lost control and crashed into the Laboon's port side. Impact damage. A gash in the hull above the waterline. Flooding in 2 compartments. The 3 remaining boats were retreating. The engagement had cost them 4 vessels and approximately 30 crewmen. They'd achieved their objective. 1 American ship damaged. 3 Americans dead. But they hadn't expected to pay this price. The Laboon was firing after them as they fled. 40 miles east, the San Jacinto's fight was reaching its climax. The first SM-2 interceptor found its target at 9:15:41. The Nor missile disintegrated at 12 nautical miles from the cruiser. Clean kill. The second SM-2 was tracking the second Nor. Intercept predicted in 4 seconds. At 9:15:43, the missile guidance link failed. SM-2 missiles rely on shipboard radar illumination during their terminal phase. The cruiser's fire control radar must paint the target while the missile homes in. If the radar loses lock, even for a fraction of a second, the missile loses guidance. The fire control radar hiccuped. Later analysis would identify the cause, and software glitch triggered by the simultaneous tracking of multiple high-speed targets. The system recovered in 0.8 seconds, but 0.8 seconds was too long. The SM-2 passed 200 meters behind the Nor. Its proximity fuse detonated. Fragments struck the Iranian missile, but the missile kept flying. Damaged, but not destroyed. Guidance seeker still active, still tracking the San Jacinto. Time to impact, 11 seconds. The phalanx CIWS engaged, 3,000 rounds per minute. The damaged Nor was slower than before. The fragmentation had degraded its aerodynamics. It was wobbling, its flight path erratic. The phalanx couldn't predict the erratic flight path. Its fire control algorithms assumed straight-line approaches. The wobbling missile evaded half the rounds that should have hit it. At 9:15:53, the Nor struck the San Jacinto. The impact point was the cruiser's port side, near the waterline. The warhead, 165 kilograms, detonated on contact. The explosion opened a hole 12 meters wide in the cruiser's hull. The blast killed 7 sailors in adjacent compartments. It ruptured fuel lines, starting fires. It buckled the deck above, injuring a dozen more. The San Jacinto listed immediately. 10 degrees to port. Flooding alarms sounded throughout the ship. Captain Walsh ordered damage control teams to the impact zone. She ordered counter-flooding to stabilize the list. She ordered fire crews to contain the blazes. And then she did something that would define the American response. At 9:17, 3 minutes after the impact, she reported to Fifth Fleet. San Jacinto hit. 7 KIA confirmed. Multiple wounded. Ship stable but damaged. Laboon also engaged. Status unclear. Request immediate strike authorization. Both ships can still fight. Vice Admiral Richardson received both reports within seconds of each other. The Laboon's report came at 9:17:14. 3 dead, ship damaged, attackers retreating. The San Jacinto's report came at 9:17:31. 7 dead, ship badly damaged, attackers destroyed. 10 American sailors dead. 2 ships wounded. A coordinated Iranian attack partially successful. Richardson had prepared for this moment. Since the summer escalation, Fifth Fleet had maintained a strike package on continuous alert. aircraft armed and ready on the Eisenhower's deck, Tomahawk missiles pre-targeted against Iranian military installations, coordinates updated daily based on intelligence assessments. The Iranians had escalated. Now the Americans would respond. At 9:22, Richardson authorized Operation Hammerfall. The strike plan was comprehensive. Primary targets: the fast attack boat base at Bushehr, home to the boats that attacked the Laboon; the missile battery near Bandar Abbas that had fired on the San Jacinto; the IRGC Navy headquarters at Bandar Abbas, the command center that coordinated the attack. Secondary targets: 3 additional suspected missile positions along the coast; 2 radar installations that provided targeting data; 1 drone control facility. Total targets 9. Total assets 8 FA-18E Super Hornets from the Eisenhower, 4 EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare, 32 Tomahawk missiles from 4 surface ships, 2 B-1B Lancer bombers from Diego Garcia carrying precision-guided munitions. The largest American strike in the Persian Gulf since 1991. At 9:28, the first Tomahawks launched. The guided missile destroyers, USS Arleigh Burke and USS Ross, began their salvos. 16 missiles each. Targets: Bushehr Naval Base and the Bandar Abbas Missile Battery. At 9:31, the Eisenhower's aircraft began launching. The Growlers went first. Their electronic warfare pods would blind Iranian air defenses. Then the Super Hornets, loaded with JDAMs and JSOWs. At 9:38, the B-1Bs reached their launch point. The bombers had been airborne for 6 hours, flying from Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. They carried 48 GBU 31J DAMS between them, 2,000-pound bombs with GPS guidance. Their targets: the IRGC Navy headquarters and the radar installations, hardened facilities that required heavy munitions. At 9:49, 35 minutes after the Iranian attack began, the first American weapons hit their targets. The Bushehr Naval Base died first. 8 Tomahawks struck the boat pens where the PACAP-class attack craft were serviced. Secondary explosions indicated fuel and ammunition storage. The maintenance facility that kept the boats operational collapsed into rubble. 4 more Tomahawks struck the barracks complex. The timing was deliberate, mid-morning, when personnel would be at their stations rather than sleeping. The goal was destruction of capability, not maximization of casualties. Estimated Iranian losses at Bushehr: 40 to 60 personnel, 12 fast attack boats destroyed in their pens, repair and maintenance facilities eliminated. The Bandar Abbas missile battery was next. This was the battery that had fired the Noors at the San Jacinto. Intelligence had pinpointed its location within 50 meters. 4 Tomahawks saturated the target area. The launcher vehicles were destroyed. The radar unit was destroyed. The command vehicle was destroyed. The crew, estimated at 25, was killed. But the Iranians had learned from previous strikes. They had begun dispersing their assets, keeping duplicate equipment at hidden locations. Destroying one battery didn't eliminate the threat. That's why the strike included secondary targets. The FA-18S arrived at 9:52. Their first targets: 3 suspected missile positions identified by satellite imagery. The pilots had studied the reconnaissance photos during their briefings. They knew what to look for. Site Alpha, confirmed legitimate. 2 launcher vehicles visible under camouflage netting. 4 JDAMs destroyed the site. Site Bravo, confirmed legitimate. 1 launcher vehicle and associated support equipment. 2 JDAMs destroyed the site. Site Charlie, uncertain. The pilots made 3 low passes before dropping. What they saw: construction equipment that might be military, might be civilian. The strike lead made a call. Better safe than sorry. 2 JDAMs destroyed the site. Post-strike analysis would later determine that Site Charlie was a civilian infrastructure project, a water treatment facility under construction. No casualties. The site was unoccupied at the time of the strike, but significant international criticism would follow. This is the reality of war. Not every target is what you think it is. Not every decision is right. At 9:54, the B-1Bs reached their targets. The IRGC Navy headquarters was a hardened facility. Reinforced concrete, underground sections, blast-resistant construction. The Iranians had built it to withstand air attack. They hadn't built it to withstand 24 GBU-31s delivered in a concentrated pattern. The first bombs cratered the surrounding terrain, collapsing access tunnels and severing communications cables. The second wave penetrated the above-ground structures. The third wave drove into the earth, their delayed fuses detonating among the underground compartments. The headquarters was destroyed. The command staff that had planned and coordinated Operation Martyr's Vengeance was killed. An estimated 80 senior officers and their support personnel. The radar installations received the remaining B-1B munitions, precision strikes on facilities that provided early warning and targeting data. Without these radars, Iranian coastal defense would be significantly degraded. At 10:07, the last American aircraft cleared the combat zone. Operation Hammerfall was complete. Damage assessment compiled over the following days. Bush Air Naval Base, destroyed. Boat pens, maintenance facilities, barracks, all eliminated. Fast attack boat capability reduced by approximately 40%. Bandar Abbas missile battery, destroyed. The specific battery that attacked the San Jacinto eliminated. IRGC Navy headquarters, destroyed. Command and control capability severely degraded. Leadership casualties significant. 3 suspected missile sites. 2 confirmed legitimate and destroyed. 1 civilian infrastructure facility mistakenly destroyed. 2 radar installations, destroyed. Early warning capability reduced. 1 drone control facility, damaged but not destroyed. Tomahawk guidance error placed the impacts 80 meters from the primary structure. Total Iranian losses, estimated 250 to 300 personnel. Significant infrastructure damage. Command capability crippled. Total American losses. 10 sailors killed on the Laboon and San Jacinto. 2 ships damaged, requiring months of repair. The diplomatic response was immediate and unprecedented. The Iranian government called for emergency UN Security Council action. They released footage of the destroyed water treatment facility, claiming widespread civilian targeting. They threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz entirely. Russia demanded an American explanation. China called for de-escalation. Several European allies publicly questioned the proportionality of the response. The United States defended the strikes as necessary and justified. Pentagon briefers displayed the evidence. Radar tracks of the Iranian attacks, gun camera footage from the F/A-18S, damage photos from the Laboon and San Jacinto. The water treatment facility was acknowledged as a mistake. A formal investigation was announced. No admission of wrongdoing, but no denial either. The international community debated. Resolutions were proposed and vetoed. Statements were issued and ignored. Meanwhile, in the Persian Gulf, the military balance had shifted. Iran's ability to conduct coordinated attacks on American ships was severely reduced. Their fast attack boat fleet was gutted. Their missile batteries were dispersed but depleted. Their command infrastructure was shattered. The strike had taken 35 minutes from initiation to completion. 35 minutes to reshape the military landscape of the entire region. But the cost was real. 10 American families received notification. 10 funerals followed. 10 names added to the roll of those who died serving in a conflict that had no name, no declaration, no clear end. The Laboon and San Jacinto limped to Bahrain for repairs. The San Jacinto's damage was severe. She would spend 9 months in dry dock. The Laboon required 4 months of work. Both ships returned to service. Both ships returned to the Gulf. The mission continued. The Iranians rebuilt. They always rebuild. New boats, new missiles, new commanders to replace those killed in the headquarters strike. But they rebuilt more cautiously. The coordinated attack of October 23rd was not repeated. Single ship engagements continued, but nothing on that scale. Whether that restraint was permanent or temporary remained unknown. What was known? The 35-minute response to Operation Martyr's Vengeance had demonstrated American capability and American will. Attack 2 ships, lose your naval base, attack simultaneously, get hit simultaneously, by aircraft, by cruise missiles, by heavy bombers. The message was received. Whether it would be heeded was another question entirely. The Strait of Hormuz remains the world's most dangerous waterway. Ships transit. Tensions persist. The next engagement could come at any moment. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.